It is the AFLW Hour, all part of the Sporting Capital. Sarah Ollie from Fox Footy is in tonight. Geez, aren't you getting a bit of love off the SMS as well, Sarah?
Am I?
Yeah, the listeners are enjoying what you're bringing to the table, which
Excellent.
is good.
That's good.
GWS you've absolutely fallen in love with. The Western Bulldogs you've fallen in love with. But I think overall, one of your old favourites and one team you were very happy with on the weekend was the Brisbane Lions. Is that a fair call?
It is a very fair call, and I think people have not paid them the respect they're probably due.
And they were very good on the weekend. They got some revenge for last year's grand final, 4-7-31, beating the Crows 3-1-19. The coach of the Brisbane Lions, Craig Starcevich, has been good enough to jump on the line and have a chat to us. Good evening, Craig.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for your time tonight. I would imagine you can never take back the result from last year's grand final, but it would have been, I'm guessing, a bit twofold for you. A, to start the season with a win, and also to get one back over Adelaide.
Yeah, it was good. We didn't have a spectacular practice game against GWS either, so there was a bit of a worry about where the minds and attitudes were at, but it was terrific that we got our energy and spirit back and brought it to the table on Saturday night.
The run and gun game, it's your style, it's the way that you play footy. There's a lot of work that goes into the defensive side of it, which we'll talk about, but when you're up and running and you've got those free-flowing wingers going, you're a very, very exciting team to watch.
Well, I think that's a little bit of the aim of the whole exercise. Actually, we're into our second year of this competition, and we need to make this competition something that people want to watch. And that's, like it or not, that's been the front of our mind with our coaching crew, is to recruit players that are athletic, that can play that type of style, and then to train it and go and implement it. So we want to win games, but we also want people to look at the maroon, blue and gold and feel proud of that team and the style of play that they're playing. That doesn't mean that you ditch defence out the window either, because we have got some terrific inspirational players that'll chase down tackle and they'll smother and do all those sorts of things as well. So just that well-rounded balance of attack and defence is really what we want.
And Craig, speaking of inspiration, I thought Sabrina was fantastic on the weekend. She got 10 coaches' votes. No Taylor Harris, but she seems to be occupying that forward line very nicely. You must be impressed with her performance.
Yeah, Sabs is, you've got to remember, she's only 20, 21 years old, so she's got a great presence in the game. And just in the last month or so, even at training, we've seen her really extend her arms in the marking contest. And, she would normally last year take a lot of her ball in front of her eyes and maybe, shoulder height, but just lately she started to get her arms up, and she's quite an imposing sight when she gets her arms up high and takes the ball at the highest point. But on the weekend, for a key forward to take 10 marks in 70 minutes of footy and 7 of them contested, that any level of football, you'd be ecstatic about that.
And you had a few debutants. Who did you like the look of the most? I love Sophie Conway kicking that first goal, and the celebration I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, and the good thing about Sophie, when she went back to have that shot at goal, she had the routine of a 100-game veteran.
Yeah.
It was the composure. She marked a spot on the ground. She counted steps out. She took a few deep breaths and went back and slotted it. So that composure for someone so young in their first game was absolutely fantastic. Ariana Clark down the other end of the ground was her usual composed self down there too, and got involved a couple of times, which was terrific. Jordan Zanchetta in the middle is a little bit older than those young ones, but she did a good job through the middle of the ground, and Gabby Collingwood, another 18-year-old that we elevated off the rookie list, did a good job also.
Craig, how much, tribute or how much is it noticeable that a lot of these girls are Queensland-based footballers that have come through junior systems together? Have you found that, it certainly was the case last year, but have you found again this year as well that it's a bit of a benefit that some of these girls know each other so well?
Yeah, you're right. They've either played club or state footy together for a long period of time now. So, that's a definite advantage. And I guess they probably know myself and the coaches quite well as well. So, a little bit of history there. So, the medical staff also have got a good grasp on what they can handle and what they can't. So, all those sorts of things are definitely a help when you're putting a team together, in a state like Queensland.
Craig, just back to the game at the weekend. Afterwards, all the players huddled around and they had a celebration where they held up their finger to their lips as if they were saying shush. Do you know what that was about? Erin Phillips was on Women's Footy on Fox on Monday night, and she kind of was saying that she wouldn't really tell her teammates to do it. Do you know what it was about, and were you okay with that celebration?
Not overly okay with it, to be honest. They were prompted by a photographer, and it was probably something in hindsight that they would take back. It's not our style. We're not that type of club that we're disrespectful. We've got a great respect for the Crows. We've played 3 ripping games against each other now, and Beck and I have great friendship and respect for each other, so it's not something that I would want our players to be known for, and I think they're a little bit remorseful about it now.
I think that's a very good way to cap off that one. Craig Starcevich, the coach of the Brisbane Lions, chatting to us here on the AFLW Hour, all part of the Sporting Capital. Craig, I know it's only one round in, but what were some of the key observations you made in terms of the changes from last year to this year? Was there anything that stood out from you from your game or the other games that seem to have improved or seem to be different from last year?
It appears that the last possession out of bounds I'm a real fan of. There's some conjecture about whether that should apply to the 50-metre arcs, but I'm thinking if my players are going inside our forward 50 and they miss a target well enough that it rolls out of bounds and the opposition get a free kick, well, they've got to answer to us before the umpires because that's poor skill execution. So I can 100% live with that. And up the other end of the ground, exactly the same thing. So
yep.
We've been trying for a long time to switch direction and cut back through the corridor like most clubs do, find the fastest avenue to goal, those sorts of things. So I think most clubs are trying to implement that. And then the flip of all of that as to whether the ball moves quick enough is how well the opposition are defending. If you come across an opposition that you can get on top of and they don't defend as well then your style of footy is going to look fantastic. But I think everyone's trying to defend as hard as they attack. So that evolution of the game being really free-flowing and up and back is probably not moving as fast as some people might like, but it is round one. The players, particularly Friday night, those players have got to be cut a little bit of slack because round one in front of a big crowd, I think your default mechanism there is probably to go back to what club footy in the winter's like, which is a little bit kick down the line when you're under the pump. So, I think we're all feeling our way. The pressure's great in round one, and I think you'll find, well, we certainly found last year, our style of play from round 1, 2017 to round 7 and grand finals, it evolved enormously. So I'm thinking every club in the comp's going to go that way this year.
Craig, up next you've got the Dogs. They were much improved on the weekend, and especially Katie Brennan. She really tore the game to shreds. Do you think you'll send Leah Kasler to her? She did a great job on Tex Perkins.
We've got a number of people that could probably play on their key forwards. They've got some good midfielders as well that we need to keep an eye on. I was really impressed. Moved the ball really nicely, found a couple of decent defenders as well. So, there's a lot to worry about when you're playing the Bulldogs. And, last year when you think through it, Katie didn't play a whole lot of footy for them. A couple of others weren't there also, and they've recruited well. So, vastly different team to what went around last year, and going to be an enormous challenge for us on the weekend.
I think it's going to be one of the games of the season, and we look forward to it. We'll have the scores right across the weekend here on 11:16 SEN. Craig, thanks for the chat tonight, and thanks for your honesty on a number of different issues. We'd love to chat to you again soon.
Good on you guys. Thanks.